Cool. Yeah. So I want to hear your 2 cents on the linebacker situation because we bring in Raylan Goforth. We've got Eddie back, fully healthy. What's your take on kind of where we sit at linebacker and how you want to see things move? For those who don't know, Noah played edge in college for Air Force. I'm gonna gas you up here for a second. So
There's
when
not
it comes
that much
to
to gas.
no, come on. So I want So comes to defense, I want to always pivot to Noah just because I know he knows what he's talking about with this. But I'm curious. Tell me like where you want to kind of see out of the linebacker scheme and who we bring in what situations and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Eddie, kind of like what we kind of talked about with Dylan Johnson, right, on the offensive side of the ball. He's kind of both of them have kind of you know built this attitude as like they're the alphas and they're calling the shots. And I think a lot of the players, realize that like they're the leaders.
Right.
And so to answer your question, I think Eddie is going to be your like go-to linebacker. I think you're starting to see that. I mean, he's on multiple like watch lists, stuff like that. And what's cool about Eddie, man, you remember he was a preferred walk-on kid out of Alaska. I think then he may move to Nevada. And dude, he's a walk-on, and he's built himself into. He's 6 foot, 235-pound linebacker. I mean, he can run sideline to sideline. He can freaking hit the hole, fill it. I mean, light dudes up. He can get into pass coverage. He's finally healthy, man. He came back 8 games last year and played. After 8 games last year, but I'm not sure he was 100% ready to go. He's probably 70%, 80%. But so I definitely want to see Eddie on the field. For the most part, I mean, I could see him on the field in rundowns and passing downs. And then you have Raylan. Raylan can get up and go too. Bringing him out of USC. He's a sticker.
Yeah.
He's what I like to call a remember me type hitter. He lights you up and you remember that hit.
Yeah.
So I think you can see Raylan too come in. But I think the other guy that'll start next to, in my opinion, this is my take. Okay. I think you'll see Zoe next to Zoe next to Eddie. I think Zoe's kind of slowly but surely kind of just got better and better and better.
For sure.
And I think the coaches know that he's kind of here to stay in that position.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see Raylan and Carson Bruner. You'll kind of see. I mean, there's gonna be a 4-man rotation.
Sure.
No question.
Yeah, right.
But I think your 2 primary guys that you'll really see is Zoe and Eddie.
Right. I agree. Where I'm curious in terms of Raylan is, I want to see what he can do in the pass game.
Sure.
I watched a lot of the clips, and I don't know. You never know what's like propaganda, right? Like what's getting put out. But I saw him working with Keith Taylor, former cornerback for UW.
Plays at
Carolina.
Carolina. Yep.
And they were doing some hip work and stuff like that. And I'm like, this guy is
he can flip it.
He can flip it
and go.
And he can run.
Nice.
And he's 6 foot. Last I looked, I think him and Zoe are pretty much the same size in terms of height and weight. And so I'm curious as to like how they work him in and all that type, because he's another guy where it's like,
I mean, the big thing with a linebacker, right? Can you guard like anything coming over the middle, slants?
Yeah.
Can you like get a running back out of the back on a wheel route or a slip, or a slip route, whatever it is, right? So can he do that? I don't think that we would. 2 things. I don't think we would bring him in as a transfer if he can't do those things, right? Yeah. And then secondly is I don't think we'd be hearing what we're hearing, that those are really like the 4-man rotation if he couldn't do that. So I think he's showing that he can do it in camp.
Yeah.
And so one thing about linebacker is I think ever since we lost like Keyshawn Bierria and Azim Victor, and then we had BBK the next year, I think we've kind of been like a little bit lackluster or like haven't been too excited about our linebacker position.
Yes, yeah.
I think in 2023. With Eddie being back healthy, bringing in Raylan, having Carson, having Zoe kind of finally finally is not the right word, but have him be ready to go at this level, dude, I think we should be excited about our linebacker room.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I think about it, I think about deep. I put out I was trying to figure out what the pulse was on our linebacker room. This was months ago, and I put out a tweet and I was like, "How would you describe our linebacker room?" And of course, I'm asking that question because I have an answer for it.
Yeah, which is good.
Of course.
Set yourself up, brother.
Yeah, of course. And what I was doing is I was breaking down the accolades, and I was realizing like Carson Bruner was all conference special teams guy.
Yep.
Raylan Goforth has the intangibles of in terms of size, weight and all that type of stuff, speed of an NFL linebacker.
Sure.
Eddie's a former, a freshman All-American in 2020. And then Zoe, I can't remember what the accolade was last year, but I think he was like either second or first team All Pac-12.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, when you start to think about this defense, you're like, we have a core in the middle that can take care of that, like, in terms of stopping the run. And we talked about this, the number 25 ranked red zone defense. A lot of that is D-line, but a lot of that is linebackers stepping up. And when you're talking about Eddie not coming back until the 8th game of the year, coming back against Oregon, like it says a couple things. Like, kudos to the linebacker group.
Yeah.
I got to give it up to the coaches for getting guys' mindsets right. Because that, to me, it just shows that, like, this team, regardless of the adversity that they faced, which was a ton, they put it up in the red zone. They did their job.
Yeah, and you got to think too. Hey, here's a little fun stat. Ever since Eddie's back, we haven't lost a game. So let's go.
Amen.
So hey, man, like I think we've won 7 straight, and you know what, Eddie, Eddie's a leader, and you know what, he's an alpha.
Yep.
And here's a fun story that I heard. So as coaches were preparing to kind of get these guys ready to go, that they were doing the running backs. We didn't talk about this, but running backs being able to block in this offense is huge.
Yeah.
As good as Wayne was coming from Virginia, when he transferred, Wayne Talapapa, when he came in, transferred from Virginia, the big thing that stood out to the coaches was he can pass block.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you can pass block in an offense like we have, you're going to stay on the field, okay? So as we were preparing, kind of getting these guys ready, Coach Marks and Coach Inge and the other linebacker coaches were like, let's get a drill together. They stood Dylan Johnson, alpha on offense, versus Eddie, alpha on defense, and said, boys, let's see what you got. Let's set the tone for this practice, all right? They came at each other multiple times. I think Eddie won the first one, DJ won the second one. But it was an opportunity to set the tone of practice. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I think these coaches are looking from both of those guys.
Amen.
One's a transfer, one's been here. One's been through adversity. But man, he's relived it, rebuilded, and he's kind of like I said, that alpha dog. And being able to have these guys lead each side of the ball, because obviously you have Penix. I mean, everyone knows Penix is going to lead,
right.
But being like that alpha mentality, being able to set the tone, is exactly what you want as a coach, exactly what you want as a fan to see. That, dude, they're going into these 15, 18 practices before the start of the season, and dude, they're ready to go to compete in Pac-12, man. So
yeah, that's awesome. And Eddie, you hear that? That means we've never lost a game.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
You starting,
Eddie,
no pressure,
man.
Buddy.
If you're listening, which I'm sure you are.
Yeah. So that's I'm stoked. Like, linebacker, I'm not worried about. I think the other position is interior D line, and I get it, right? Like, from an outsider's perspective, you're like, hey, I got question marks, and there were some compelling, whatever those second level statistics are going to be, right?
Sure.
That's fine. When you look at this, we talked about this number 25 ranked red zone defense. That's great. When I look at this year and I see MJ Ollie having dropped a bunch of weight, looks like he's moving. When you add in the Parker twins, when you have Fatui, you have Thule, all of a sudden you've got a rotation of guys who I think is like maybe one of the deepest rooms on our defense.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on just like what you'd like to see and how they kind of work guys in? Or
Yeah, no, I one guy that I think that you failed to mention that I think is like maybe I want to see like really take that next step is Jacob Bandas.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's a kid out of that's okay. He's a kid out of Pittsburgh, California. I mean, dude, he came out of high school. He had all the tools. I mean, he had everything you wanted. Wrestling background, big lower half, strong lower half, and everything we're hearing is, I mean, he's finally stepping into that role.
Right.
And so you have him next to Thule with Fatua Tele. I mean, dude, I agree. I don't know if the Parker twins, you got to remember, the Parker twins kind of came from a high school that I think didn't have football, something like that. And then then for their senior year, they transferred. They kind of flew under the radar. They might not be like the guys this year, but they're learning under, the guys that have been here for years.
Yeah.
And so if we can get that interior defensive line to kind of just like click and really kind of be able to play off each other, I think we can have something special.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. I mean, if there's anybody that I trust to develop on our defense, it's Inoke Breckfield.
Yeah, he's got a decent resume.
Yeah,
some pretty good players.
Okay.
JJ Watt and Aaron Donald. Yeah, he does all right.
Couple of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I think the reason why I bring up linebackers and then defensive line is because I think, to me, those are the positions that I think probably are the deepest, and I think where I feel really confident in our starters, I think about corners and I think about Jabbar and that battle with Thaddeus Dixon and Elijah Jackson.
Yep.
And I know Thaddeus Dixon and Elijah Jackson, unless you are a fan who follows kind of everything that's going on with the program, you may not have heard of yet, or you've seen it a couple games and not really known where they're at. Both dudes, and you saw them at the game, at the spring game. We were on the field and standing close to these dudes, as well as Javion Green. They're big dudes. So
they looked the part.
Yeah, they looked the part. So I'm moving to cornerback here. But so you've got Jabbar on one side, and you've got this battle between these two dudes who are big. They look like they're going to be, 6'2", 6'3", 215-pound corners.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident in that group. I'm pretty confident in those three guys in rotation, 4 guys in rotation. Whereas last year, like we said, we saw all these different dudes in different games. So
yeah, I mean, if we're gonna move to corner, I love that. I mean, that's one thing that we kind of failed to mention when we were talking about him earlier is under the Jimmy Lake, Chris Peterson regime in the secondary, we played a lot of zone. Zone, not so much man. Now we play a little bit more man. We expect our guys to be able to flip the hips, run, get up over the top of a long route, whatever that is. And I think that's kind of why you saw Mish Powell move more into the Husky role, is because not that he can't do that. That probably just wasn't his skill set. Right. What is his skill set? It's, dude, be in the box, quick back and quick side to side, can come up. He might be the best tackler on the team. O'Day High School product, another walk-on, which is like, dude, our walk-on program for years has just been elite. So I love to see that, right? Yeah. I always like keeping the Irish pipeline alive, as I like to call it. Jason Brown.
What's up, Jason Brown?
So, I mean, we always want to keep that pipeline alive, right? But point being is, if our secondary, if Juice Brown's got these guys ready to go, and Chuck Morrell too. I mean, him being the co-defensive coordinator, I think that these guys can step up and be good enough. And remember, it all plays that big, it's all one big circle, right? If you can get some edge pressure, get into the quarterback, he's gonna get the ball up in the air. And dude, we gotta get more interceptions than 7.
Amen.
We get more interceptions than 7. And we're gonna be fine, dude. Get me 12 interceptions, which I'm sorry, it shouldn't be that hard. We should be able to do that. Give me 7 interceptions. Give me 8 or 10 fumble recoveries, dude. We're in business, and we're in business. We're in business for a playoff run. We're in business for all that kind of stuff. So that's what excites me when I think about our defense. We heard about Kalen always. His defense is always kind of being hunting type defenses. Always taking blitz packages, always having, opportunities to get on this quarterback. I kind of want to see that this year.
Yeah, amen. I mean, I just think if we make the improvements that you're talking about, we generate just a handful of more turnovers.
Yeah.
You're setting up for a season where you can make a serious run.
Absolutely.
And I look, like we talked about earlier, you look at the football math of just like matchup us versus them. Like, what does that football math look like? And there isn't a team, I don't think, on our roster that we can take down. And who knows what that looks like. I'm super excited about that. So.
No, so am I, man. I mean, you look at I think there's a couple things on Twitter you'll see, or on the internet, and you'll see like how much talent does the University of Washington have. I think we have, people say we have the 7th most talent, considered around NFL type caliber players. And I mean, I'll tell you what, if this team isn't ready to do it this year, when are we going to be ready? I mean, we're ready. I mean, we got the talent, we got the leadership, and we got a Heisman Trophy candidate in Penix.
Yeah.
We have a good running back room. We got an offensive line that's a good unit. Our wide receivers are top 2 in the country.
Right.
If our defense can just be that much better,
right.
4 points better maybe a game, dude, look out. And that goes back to how we kind of opened the show. Like, what is our ceiling? Dude, you give me 4 or 5 points better on defense, dude, I mean, I don't know. Maybe our ceiling is like a 12-0 type year. It could, right? I mean, it really is, though.
I try not to get overtly excited, right?
We're not trying to Doog, as people say.
I'm not trying to Doog here, but it is hard not to. Like, straight up. I want to pivot for a second, and I want to talk about maybe some names that are guys that are maybe a little bit more unsung and that could have a major impact on this year.
I like that.
And I want to start at edge, because I think everybody knows ZTF. I think everybody knows Braylon Trice.
Yep.
Beyond that, you've got Zach Durfee, you've got Maurice Himes, you've got Sakai, you've got Lance Holtzclaw. Unfortunately, I don't know why the NCAA chooses to crack down on the things that they crack down on sometimes, and there's plenty of other things that they could be cracking down on. But there's an eligibility thing here with Durfee that we have to that's lingering in the back of Husky football fans' minds, and I'm wondering, who do you see, or who do you feel as though this could be the next dude? This could be the third guy, because it seems like from a name recognition standpoint, there's a decent drop off after ZTF and after Braylon. Like, who do you have anybody in mind?
Yeah, I mean, when you have national name recognition like a ZTF and a Trice, I mean, yeah, you probably aren't just going to be littered with guys behind that at that level, right? But I'll tell you what, when I watched Durfee's first film, it was small time college football.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, the dude's bend, his like ankle flexion, the way he pressured the football, his motor. I mean, he has everything a defensive line, defensive end type coach wants to see. If there's any way Durfee can play this year and he can get eligible, he'll be our number 3 guy. No question. Even the jump from whatever that small time college football was to the Division I Pac-12 level, he's that good and he can be that elite.
I agree.
I think having Voy play some edge, it helps a lot too. Voy Tanuf, he can kind of do it all. I mean, he's a little bit slighter, height and weight.
Yep.
But I mean, dude, his lateral quickness is elite. I think the only thing is he might not be thick enough through the legs, right? On a lot of rundowns is what they would probably say. But dude, Voy is a heck of a player too.
Absolutely.
One guy you forgot to mention, I know you want us to talk about him a little bit, is Jacob Lane.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of standouts, there's a handful, and where I hear about some standouts is typically underclassmen, because that's the guys who you won't expect, and then when they pop, it's really special, right? Hearing a lot of good things about Jacob Lane, to the point where some folks feel as though that he could actually see the field pass on a redshirt year this year. Now we'll see if that happens. I mean, hopefully
he'll definitely play his 4 games.
Absolutely,
sure.
He's going to play his 4 games, and I think you're going to see a good dose of Maurice Himes. You're going to see a good dose of Sakai. You're going to see a good dose of Voy mixed in there
with Lance as well.
I think that you're going to end up being surprised by Jacob Lane, and you might have a few plays where you're like, who is that, especially in those first 4 games of the year, and you're going to look it up, and it's a true freshman in Jacob Lane. And so very excited about him. I'll be honest, like, when you look at the depth there, you needed a guy in the edge position to step up and challenge that room.
Absolutely.
And I'm he's a local product too, and that's
only
makes the room better.
Absolutely. And it's always fun to see the local kids do
absolutely,
well, right?
Man.
Absolutely. They got the purple and gold running through their veins too, So it's like they wanted to be dogs, and to see their dream come true and to see a guy like that, I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah. And I think another couple guys that I want to call out that we talked about injuries.
Yeah.
They're going to happen. I think the positions where there's biggest question marks in the depth could be, safety, edge, right?
Sure.
We're talking about these spots. So I want to see, and again, this isn't a thing about talent or whether or not the guy can, play the role. I think it has to do more with the amount of experience in the depth in these positions. And where I'll be interested to see is the steps that like Mikel Steen, Vince Nunley have made. And yeah, if God forbid, if we take an injury in the secondary and we lose that leadership we were talking about from Asa or Dom, can a guy, and Mikel and Vince, I think, the knock on them would be like their weight, right? But they have the height. Do you think like when you have that drop off, obviously there's the leadership stuff, but if you have that drop off to somebody who's maybe thinner in the secondary at safety, what are the things that maybe you look for from a guy like, a Vince Nunley and Mikel Steen that you want to see that would make you feel a little bit more confident, like if we did take an injury there, that we would be okay?
Yeah, for me, I mean, the nice thing that I know is that they've been with the program for a while, and they've been with, with Coach Morrell for the full time.
Right.
So at least that they should know the defense just as well as the veterans, right? So the veterans might have the bigger body, they might understand, how to get ready for a game week, how to get ready in the offseason a little bit better. But you would at least think that, a Steen and Nunley, at least, and Tristan Dunn, they've been here the whole time that this staff's been here. So they should understand the defense. So yeah, so I think, is there going to be a drop off from first string to second string to third string? Absolutely. Right. But I think that at least that they're going to have the ability to understand the defense. Right. And one thing we have heard is that our defense, Inge and Morrell's defense, isn't like the easiest to learn. It has a lot of complex parts, blitz packages, whether, like I said, zone concept, man concepts on the secondary. And so it's just kind of, do they get the defense? And that's probably why a lot of times you hear guys like, not completely going into the linebackers, but like you hear guys like Devin Bryant. Yeah, you've heard that he's popped, right? Like, dude, he can run sideline to sideline. He can get in the hole, make a play. He can get on the edge when needed. He can go fill a hole. He can make a tackle in open field. He does all the things that impact players do.
Right.
But once again, it's like, does he understand all the concepts? Does he understand, all the blitz packages, the drop, the zone packages, right? So it's like, to go back to answer your question, hopefully your Nunleys, your Steens, your Dunns truly understand the defense so they can step in and play.
Right. Yeah, I think it's easy for a casual fan to maybe look at the size of the guys and be like immediately like, hey, that's what it is.
He can play.
What is? Yeah, exactly, and fall into that a little bit. But I'm glad that you called that out, because I think, and especially with our defense, it seems like a lot of that runs through the safeties. Yep. So that's a great call out. Yeah, and I guess you and I talked a little bit about this, but I'm curious, just because off the cuff, obviously huge news with Jen Cohen leaving, Mama Bear who's leaving the castle.
The leopard print lifer.
Now I don't want to hear any Jen Cohen slander at all on what she was wearing and her style and her as a person, because she was. I mean, I love her, dude.
Man.
Honestly, I don't know what it is. Like, I loved her whole style.
She's got that voice.
She loves
the dogs.
Mama Bear swag.
Yeah.
She had that. So I loved her. I know, we could talk about the different things and her impact at the university and how much, impact that she actually had, and the Mike Hopkins stuff and extending him. And the way that I think about it is, where we started when she got hired and where we ended when she left. I think getting us over the hump into the Big Ten is like, for that to be your coup de grace, like for that to be how you sign off. I got respect for that. And
dude, it's probably the biggest thing that happened to the University of Washington since winning the national championship.
Absolutely. In 91. Yeah. You're at the seat at the table, and, we can speculate all day on, how much of a role she played in that and who's, all that different type of thing. But the bottom line is that we saw some major steps forward in a lot of the programs at the University of Washington. And maybe I'm biased because I just thought she was pretty cool ass.
Dude, yeah, I mean, people love to talk about Jen. Dude, at the end of the day, dude, Jen Cohen like I said it earlier, I've said it twice now. She bleeds purple and gold.
Absolutely.
Everyone talks. She's talked about it. People talk about it. She wrote the letter as like a little girl that she wanted to like work for the Huskies. That's and be crazy. Like be somehow part of the team and dude, and she was, man. And the cool thing about Jen too is she was part of the community, man.
Yep.
I mean, like there's multiple times at the Rose Bowl, at local games, she would come out and talk at nonprofits. I mean, dude, she was part of the community because she loved the community and she loved the Huskies. Sometimes, man, the USCs of the world, dude, private universities, man, they got big dough, dude. Like, and you know what, dude, God bless her, man. Honestly, that's awesome. Yeah. Dude, she literally just got called out to be the athletic director at maybe like a top 5-ish athletic director job in the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how much does that say about what she did here?
Yeah.
Dude, college football committee. College football playoff committee.
Yep.
Obviously, she's on multiple lists as like, being one of the top athletic directors. Dude, we're about to, we're putting LED lights. We're building a new basketball facility.
Yeah.
Dude, I know Coach Tar for the softball program is looking in to have a new stadium and new facilities for her girls, which they deserve umpteen amounts of all of that, right?
Agreed.
Dude, Jen Cohen, man, is like, dude, she bleeds the dogs.
Yeah.
And I know she does her fight on and all that stuff. I promise you, dude. She might say, "Oh, when the Trojans play the dogs, like, bro, down deep."
Yeah.
She's gonna be like,
"Come on, man."
When we go down there and beat Caleb Williams on November 4th or 5th, whatever it is, dude, she'll be pumped.
It's just hard not to love that story. Like,
dude,
her whole story, but
it's the dream, man.
It's the absolute dream. Like, and she, like you said, she bled purple and gold all the way through, and I can't hate, I can't hate anybody who bleeds the dogs, man.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
we both bleed the dogs, man.
Absolutely.
From childhood. It started with your grandpa, started with my dad.
So freaking excited for where this is going to go and how this is going to grow, man. It's going to be awesome.
Dude, people look for community in like so many different places, right? I mean, like the local softball club or like, nonprofits.
Yeah.
And dude, we have this like community around Husky football, and it's a passionate fan base and a passionate community. And like, dude, we have the opportunity to give a community to people that are like looking for it.
Amen.
And there's nothing that, I mean, dude, it's a really cool and exciting. Like I've said, I use the word exciting, but man, there's not a better word. I mean, this is our first episode.
Yeah.
And dude, we're looking forward to many more.
Absolutely.
And man, you can find us on Twitter.
Yeah.
You can find us in the Discord.
Yeah.
Dub Discord.
If you're not in the Discord on the free side, get in there. It doesn't cost you anything. Like I said, there's 2,300 people who are in there. If you want to help support us and keep us going, that VIP subscription is what's going to help us. What you get with that is you get access to non-public information from the rumors for recruiting, what's going on from the, we have thousands of people, thousands of connected individuals who are diehard Husky football fans. You cannot compete with crowdsourcing information. And that's what we found is that when you cultivate a community of people who are diehard Huskies and they are this connected, we can get all of the information faster and quicker than just about anybody around us. So we're very prideful in that structure, and we've got Twitter different alerts. So if a player gets injured, you got a push notification to your phone. If there's a recruiting update that's viable and you've signed up for the recruiting update alert, we've got that coming to your phone right away. And so we kind of view ourselves as not only this wonderful community, but also the most tech-forward Husky football platform that exists.
Absolutely.
So, dude, that's my spiel.
Yeah, Izzo, I mean,
we're passionate about this, man.
We've been going at this for a while, man, and I think, I think this kind of signs off our first episode, man. Wrap it up, and dude, go Dogs. We're
thank you guys.
Yeah, we're a weekish away of being a first game versus Boise State. Dude, it's gonna be a fun weekend. Labor Day weekend, always is good.
Sun should be shining. I mean, we're gonna be we'll continue to be doing these podcasts as well.
Absolutely.
And we love the studio, and we thank the guys who have helped us, and they weren't planning for us to thank them, but there's some people behind the scenes who kind of nudged us along and really helped to make sure that this thing went down. And we're really excited about.
Dude, thank you, Mike Flaunt, man. Seriously, thank you, Mike.
You're the man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you guys so much,
man.
Dude, so cool. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Go Dogs.